projects, or even worse, give people crumbs in amounts back that are called purchasing power assistance, when actually they were taking their money right from the beginning. The Honourable Minister of Industry. Well, Mr. Speaker, we are the ones who are lowering the cost of groceries, lowering the cost of gas. We are lowering taxes. That is pragmatism. That is what we are doing as a federal government, as a Liberal Party, because we know that Canadians need help, and we are there for them. And meanwhile, good news, wage increases in Canada are twice as high as inflation. Our plan is working. The Honourable Member. I received the following message from Anthony. I'm 23 years old. I've been on the labour market for 4 years as a carpenter. I'm still living with my parents, and I'm very lucky to be able to do that because there's no way I'm going to be able to buy my own house. And that means I can't have a family. I get dozens of messages like that per week. Our young people are losing hope. After 11 years of Liberal decision-making, everything is more expensive. And our young people are losing hope in a country as rich as Canada. Why? The Honourable Minister of Industry. We will be there for Anthony, Mr. Speaker. We will be there for all of our young people. That's why today the Prime Minister is meeting with the Quebec Premier, because we will be there to help to build more homes in Quebec and throughout the country. That is also why we have removed the GST on our first-time home purchase. We are there to support young families. Meanwhile, what are the Conservatives doing? Mr. Speaker, they are voting against all of these measures to help Canadians.
The Honourable Member for Dufferin-Caledon.
If you listen to these Liberals, you would think that Canada's going through some kind of an economic boom. But the reality is so far from that truth. 43% of Canadians are now saying that they are within $200 of not being able to make ends meet. This is despite all of the programs they continuously announce and re-announce. This is despite doubling the deficit. When will these Liberals realize that whatever medicine they're trying to give to fix the Canadian economy, it is not working?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary of the Minister of Finance.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the question is more or less. The Conservatives want us to believe that they would actually do more for Canadians, but every chance they get, they would do less. They would do less on childcare. They would do less on dental care. They would do less of an income tax cut. They would do less investments in infrastructure, less investments in housing, less investments in defense. In every category of growing the economy and helping Canadians get through tough times, they would do much less than this government. That's clear from their voting record, and it's clear from the things they say in this House that Canadians will not be manipulated.
The Honourable Member for Dufferin-Caledon.
If you want to talk about manipulation, manipulation is telling Canadians they've never had it so good. It's also what is the definition of gaslighting, and that's what these Liberals do every single day in the House of Commons. They deny the facts. Think about it, 43% of Canadians saying they're within $200 of not being able to make ends meet. That is one minor car repair. That is one tiny repair to their house, and then they are on the verge of going bankrupt. This is what 10 years of Liberal policies that have doubled the deficit have done. When will they realize whatever they're trying to do, it is not working?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary of the Minister of Finance.
Speaker, Canadians can be rest assured that the Conservatives would do much less in every category. They pretend in this House to say that they would do more. Well, let's just take food prices, for example. We've cut just recently 10 cents per litre off gasoline at the pump. That's in addition to 18 cents earlier in this government's mandate. That's 28 cents per litre, which is more than what the Conservatives have proposed. We have moved forward with the groceries and essentials benefit worth almost $1,900 for the average Canadian family. A national school food program.
The Honourable Member for Lethbridge.
This government can continue to make false claims, or they can actually take real action on behalf of Canadians. The reality is single moms are struggling, families are struggling, seniors are struggling just to be able to make ends meet. 64% of them say that they are working harder but still falling further behind. That's not the type of Canada that we want, and I would hope at least we would all agree to that. Now, we put forward a proposal to take 25 cents off per litre at the pump. This government responded by taking an itty-bitty little amount, 10 cents per litre at the pump, which means really no savings at all because the summer gas prices will be increased by 10 cents a litre at the pump. Why will
The Honourable Secretary of State for the Minister of Labour.
Mr. Speaker, the member opposite is talking about what's false. Let me tell her what is true. This Monday, a federal break on the excise tax on fuel comes into effect that is going to save Canadians 10 cents at the pump. That is true. That is Monday. Canadians are going to feel that when they pull into the gas station. The Conservatives can stand up and they can rail against the programs that we are legitimately putting in place to help Canadians. But, Mr. Speaker, they stand up in opposition to them every single time.
The member for Lethbridge.
I'm glad that the honourable member is willing to recognize that they have agreed to only take 10 cents a litre off at the pump. Meanwhile, summer gas prices will go up by 10 cents a litre, which means really Canadians are saving absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, the Conservative plan was to take off 25 cents a litre at the pump. That's real savings. That makes a real difference. That's what Canadians want. Will the Liberals take Canadians seriously and actually make a real difference? Axe the tax!
The Honourable Secretary of State for the Minister of Labour.
Well, Mr. Speaker, as the member opposite should know, actually, the combined effect of what the Liberals have done is we've actually saved Canadians 28 cents at the pump. 28 cents when we cancelled the carbon tax, and now, as of Monday, with an additional 10 cents that we're taking off because of the removal of the federal excise tax. Being in government gives you the privilege of the honor of serving Canadians to make a real difference in their lives. These are real policies, Mr. Speaker, that are going to hit Canadians' wallets at a time when we know that they are concerned about affordability.
Order. Order. The Honourable.
The Honourable Member for Côte-Nord, Kawa-Wachikamach-Nitassinan. Mr. Speaker, yesterday, in a commemoration of the patriation of the Constitution, what we call the Night of Long Knives in Quebec, the Minister of Justice dropped a bombshell. He announced that no matter what the Supreme Court decides about the notwithstanding clause, he would take action to limit it. He's not even waiting for the Supreme Court decision. He announced that if he's not happy with the result, he will attack Quebec's powers. Who does he think he is? Why is he trying to undermine Quebec democracy? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Justice. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank my colleague for her question. In fact, the words of the Minister of Justice were to the effect, and always will be to the effect, that this government is a government of the Charter, and we will always defend the Charter and rights and freedoms. The Honourable Member for Côte-Nord, Kawa-Wachikamach-Nitassinan. Mr. Speaker, just a few hours before the first visit of the new Premier of Quebec, the Minister of Justice has announced that he will be attacking the notwithstanding clause. He will be limiting the ability of Quebec elected officials to adopt legislation that Quebecers voted for. He will attack secularism, protecting the French language, and all of the choices Quebec makes that are different than Canada's choices. Is that really how Quebec deserves to be welcomed to Ottawa? The Honourable Minister of Industry. Mr. Speaker, good news. Yes, the Premier of Quebec, is here, and we will be working hard to defend Quebecers and Canadians. We are very proud of having a Charter of Rights and Freedoms that is now 40 years old and that has protected Quebecers and Canadians ever since the Constitution was patriated. The Honourable Member for Jonquière. Mr. Speaker, the very same day that the Premier of Quebec is coming to Ottawa, the Liberals are announcing that they want to be able to veto Quebecers' choices. They are announcing that if the Supreme Court doesn't take their side in their attack on secularism and the notwithstanding clause, they will do that themselves. Just think of it. Their dubious majority has not even become official yet, and this is how they're behaving. What a beginning. Are they going to stop showing this total lack of respect for Quebecers? The Honourable Minister of Industry. Mr. Speaker, our position on this issue is very clear. As we've repeated several times, and today we have good news, the second female Premier in the history of Quebec, and she is here today at a time when there is a tariff war. Our goal is to protect and create jobs and improve living conditions for Quebecers, and we will be working hard on that.
Foothills.
With elbows firmly down, the Prime Minister made a promise to Donald Trump to invest $1 trillion into the United States. Well, promise kept. An RBC statement shows that $1 trillion of investment has fled Canada. Under Liberal policies, they have caused the largest exodus of capital in Canadian history. And Canadians are paying the price, with 74% saying fuel and food costs are straining their finances. 43% are $200 away from economic ruin every single month. Why are Canadians paying the price for the Prime Minister's promises to Donald Trump?
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
Mr. Speaker, my colleague is picking and choosing in that very RBC report he's reporting. Because when you look at it, what this same report mentioned is Canada's back on the radar of global investors. Last year, foreign direct investment in Canada reached nearly $100 billion, the highest level since 2015. And it's in the news this morning. We will host an investor summit. The entire world is invited to come to Canada September 14th and 15th. We'll invest, we'll create jobs, and we'll grow this country.
Honourable Member for Foothills.
The Liberals make more promises and have more announcements. They are driving farmers into the ground. Farmers lost $3.3 billion in 2024 and are expected to lose another $30 billion over the next decade. And yet the Liberals continue to double down, closing research centres, imposing a fertilizer import tax, and increasing the industrial carbon tax. This is why 75% of farmers are telling their kids not to take over the family farm. 84% of farmers think the Prime Minister has been an epic failure. Why not remove all of the tariffs, all of the fuel taxes, and give farm families a fighting chance?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary, Minister of Finance.
Well, as usual, Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives don't actually read the reports that they quote in this House. As the Minister of Industry has said, that RBC report on foreign investment has said Canada's back on the radar of global investors, and it has attracted over $100 billion, the highest level since 2015. We also have a number of commitments from other countries, including Australia and the UAE, over $80 billion of new investment. And just this week at Finance Committee, we had our largest pension plan say that Canada is at the right place at the right time to attract global.
The Honourable Member for Parkland.
Well, Mr. Speaker, after a decade of Liberal policies driving up the cost of living, Canadians are being squeezed like never before. According to the Consumer Debt Index, 61% of Canadians say they are experiencing financial whiplash, and 64% say they're working harder than ever but can't get ahead. Instead of providing relief to struggling Canadians, the Liberals voted against removing taxes on 25 cents a litre for fuel, and they're driving up the cost of fuel and groceries. Why won't Liberals provide real relief instead of one-third the tax cut for one-third of the year?
Hear, hear, hear. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary, Minister of Finance.
Every single day in this House, this government works towards making life more affordable for Canadians, authentically making every effort and taking every step to ensure that Canadians can get through the challenging times that our economy is experiencing due to global shocks. Canadians know that our government is stepping up with real support. The groceries and essentials benefit, almost $1,900 for families. Just take childcare. That saves families almost $1,200 a month on average. We've just cut GST on new home purchases as well, so young people can get into the housing market. We're going to continue.
The Honourable Member for Parkland.
Well, Mr. Speaker, you know who's not struggling? The federal government that's bringing in windfall taxes on Canadian fuel costs. Yes. Canadians are telling us loud and clear they are struggling. They're cutting back, they're delaying major life decisions, and they're worrying about whether they can pay their bills each month. Instead of providing real relief, this Liberal government's driving up inflation. Despite windfall revenue from soaring gas prices, they're only giving Canadians one-third the tax cut for one-third of the year. After a decade of Liberal policies, even middle-class families are failing to get ahead. It's time to give Canadians a real break. Why won't they?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Labour.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians are going to get a real break on Monday when they see the prices drop at the gas pump by 10 cents a litre with the federal excise tax on fuel coming off. But, Mr. Speaker, it's not even just about families. For the member opposite, let me also remind him that by removing this excise tax, we're also helping businesses. We're helping businesses in food production, in agriculture, in construction, in transport. Those businesses now can confidently hire, they can confidently build. Though that helps Canadians too, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for York Centre.
Speaker, 1 in 4 Canadians is skipping meals. And MMP says that 1 in 3 Canadians can't pay their bills. The Conservatives offered a real solution. Cut all federal gas taxes to give Canadians a break at the pumps. It will cost about a third of what Liberals spend on foreign aid. But now Liberals claim to be fiscally prudent. The Prime Minister offered us a lesson on deficits. That's after doubling Trudeau's deficit to almost $80 billion. Why don't the Liberals admit that Canadians are suffering and axe the GST and fuel regulation of gasoline?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary, Minister of Labour.
Mr. Speaker, we understand that Canadians have had a tough go of it, and that's one of the reasons why over the past year our government, our new government, has been absolutely focused on bringing down the cost of living for Canadians. They are going to feel that this Monday when they see prices drop at the gas pumps because we're removing the federal excise tax on fuel. That is a big deal, Mr. Speaker. But we also know that they're going to be looking forward to the new groceries and essentials benefit that we're providing. That's going to help families with over $1,800 this spring with that benefit. This is a complex challenge, but
The Honourable Member for York Centre.
Tell that to 1 in 10 Torontonians lining up at the food bank. MNP found that almost half of Canadians are $200 away from insolvency. How is it that in a country that's so rich in natural resources, more than 1 in 5 children go hungry? It's Liberal tax and spend policies. It's Liberals who suffocate our oil and gas, who give away our money to their friends and foreigners. So why don't they steal another Conservative idea and cut all federal taxes on gas so Canadians can afford to eat?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to Secretary of State for Labour.
Mr. Speaker, it is more than a little bit rich to hear the member opposite talk about kids going hungry when that party won't vote in favor of a national school food program to save their life. We're the last country in the G7 to have a permanent national school food program that's going to help nearly 500,000 kids in this country not go to school hungry. Why won't the member, if he's truly concerned about the plight of kids in our country being hungry, why won't he make sure that they have a healthy meal to go to school in the morning?
The Honourable Member for Windsor-Tecumseh Lakeshore.
Mr. Speaker, young Canadians are being hit the hardest by this Liberal-created cost of living crisis. 1 in 5 Canadians aged 18 to 34 cannot even pay their tax bill without going into debt. At the same time, nearly 75% are cutting back on spending just to survive. And still the Liberals voted against the Conservative plan to lower taxes on gas and groceries. Why won't the Liberals cut taxes on gas and food to make life more affordable?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
To govern is to choose, Mr. Speaker. And I want to commend the member. I want to commend the member for her propensity. She's newly elected, relatively. I want to commend her for her propensity to do what Conservatives do, which is to constantly cite problems but never solutions. What would the Conservatives do? We see what we're doing. We're embracing the resource economy. We're ensuring a foundation for the future so that young people can get ahead. They would cut every program that exists with respect to youth. They would get rid of the Canada Child Benefit, or very close to that. They don't want to support childcare, dental care, the beginnings of pharmacare, any of these programs. They only want to identify problems.
L'honorable député de Beauharnois.
The Honourable Member for Beauharnois, Salaberry, Soulanges, Huntington. Mr. Speaker, federal funding of active transportation has a problem. An inactive government. Throughout Quebec, our towns have made bids for projects, but it's radio silence from Ottawa. In my riding in Salaberry de Valleyfield, we have until Tuesday to start work on a new bike lane. Otherwise, the price guarantee will expire. The project will have to go back to tender, and it's going to be more expensive. How is it that 4 days away from the deadline, we still don't have news? The town has been waiting for 2 years. The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, we are at the negotiation table with Quebec. We are committed to working with our provincial counterparts to ensure that our communities are linked by active transportation and transit networks that are solid and reliable. The Honourable Member for Beauharnois, Salaberry, Soulanges, Huntington. Mr. Speaker, I spoke about what is happening in Valleyfield, but that's happening throughout Quebec. For example, in Saint-Charles-Borromée, it's already too late. The federal government missed the deadline, and the town has to go back to tender, and it will be more expensive. No matter how much we contact the Minister of Infrastructure, We're just told that it's under study. It's ironic that the active transportation file is inactive in Ottawa. When will our towns in Quebec have their funding confirmed? The Honourable Minister of Industry. My colleague is right. We are working on solutions to support active transportation throughout Quebec. The minister is active on this file. He just answered my colleague. The Prime Minister and the Premier of Quebec are meeting today. They know it's a priority. We will help people in Valleyfield and throughout Quebec. Thank you very much.
Honorable député de Louis Saint-Laurent à Kiawenrac.
The Honourable Member for Louis Saint-Laurent à Kiawenrac. Mr. Speaker, people are shocked to find that the CRA has been sending $5 million checks to fraudsters. And yet, the Secretary of State seemed to take this very lightly yesterday. But yesterday in Washington, the Minister of Revenue told Radio-Canada that this would be investigated. So I have a very simple question. How many millions of dollars have been given to fraudsters without any attempt to investigate?
We take any abuse of the tax system not lightly, very seriously. It is obviously illegal to take advantage of the tax system. The CRA takes enforcement action when instances of abuse are identified. While we can't comment on specific cases that are matters before the courts, obviously opposition members can see documents when they're publicly available. The CRA has implemented additional safeguards to help ensure greater consistency and accuracy in the refund process. Thank you.
L'honorable député de Louis Saint-Laurent à Kiawenrac.
The Honourable Member, this government is not taking the cases of honest Canadians seriously. For example, there is a veteran who was not able to get an answer for years from the CRA, although the CRA owed him $20,000. He only got an answer 9 months after, and he still hasn't received a check. The CRA took 9 months and it still couldn't come up with a check. Does the government realize that it's mistreating honest Canadians but rolling out the red carpet for fraudsters?
With millions of tax filings and does their very best to ensure a high quality of service. There has been improvements to that service over the last year since this government has been in power, but any abuse of the tax system is illegal. CRA takes enforcement action whenever they can identify instances of abuse. We certainly can't comment on cases before the courts. Obviously, opposition members will be able to refer to any information which becomes public, and the CRA is implementing more safeguards in their processes. Thank you very much.
L'honorable député de...
The Honourable Member for Beauce. Mr. Speaker, recently I've been traveling throughout Quebec, meeting with hunters, sports shooters, respectful, law-abiding gun owners. They are upset about the Liberal Bill C-21, which treats them like criminals. The Liberals are wasting nearly $1 billion at a time when real crime is skyrocketing throughout the countries. This is a total failure with no impact or results. Can the Minister of Public Safety admit that this legislation is a fiasco and throw it out? The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Merci pour la question, Mr. Speaker. Let me just say that the enrollment period for the assault-style firearms compensation program was complete with over 67,000 firearms that have been declared. This is a program that essentially will ensure that those prohibited firearms are off our streets, Mr. Speaker. We know that the province of Quebec is an integral part of this program, and we're grateful for their support. Let me just say, Mr. Speaker, the business component of the program just opened up, so we will be able to complete the program in a timely manner.
L'honorable député de Beauce.
The Honourable Member for Beauce. Mr. Speaker, you want to hear some misinformation? The Liberals say the law is voluntary, But is it really? You get paid if you turn in your firearm by March 31st. But from April through October, you get nothing. And if you keep your firearm off after October 31st, you become a criminal, Mr. Speaker. This law is not voluntary. It's an abuse of power, and it's totally undemocratic. The problem is not the gun. The problem is the person carrying it. That's always been the real issue. Mr. Speaker, will the minister scrap this abusive legislation? Yes or no? The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, I don't have to explain to my Quebec colleagues the impact of guns in their communities. We know that the L'École Polytechnique had significant consequences where many women were killed, Mr. Speaker. We know that this program is important to ensure the safety and security of Canadians. We will move forward, Mr. Speaker, on the business buyback program, which will open up, and we will complete the program as contemplated.
L'honorable député de Kapuskasing.
The Honourable Member for Kapuskasing, Timin Mushkegwa.
The excise tax was removed for the people of northeastern Ontario, but they need more. The farmers of Matheson and Valgagne need more help today. The gold miners of Kirkland Lake, Cochrane, Timmins, and Chapleau need more help today. The loggers of every village in northeastern Ontario, traveling hundreds and at times 1,000 kilometers per day, need urgent help. Will the government use the extra unbudgeted revenues from royalties and taxes to further lower gas and diesel prices to help people today?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary of Agriculture.
Mr. Speaker, I think it's very important to state, first of all, that our farmers across the country are doing a great work for Canada's food security, food autonomy, and food sovereignty. So thank you to my colleague for raising this. Yes, reducing the price of gas will really help the farmers, but we are not stopping there. We are there to support their innovation with tax credit, with super deduction that will help them modernize their facilities. We need to do a lot more here in Canada to process more and grow this sector, and we are there with the farmers. Bravo.
The Honourable Member for Prescott Russell Cumberland.
Mr. Speaker, our government is focused on making housing more affordable and helping more Canadians find homes in communities across the country. Yeah. We are working with partners at every level to strengthen housing supply and support the delivery of more affordable housing from coast to coast to coast. Can the Minister of Housing share how the Build Canada Homes approach will help us continue to increase the supply of affordable housing across the country and deliver more results for Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thanks to the member for her question. We are tackling Canada's housing challenges with urgency and innovation. And Build Canada Homes is already showing what is possible when we work in strong partnership with provinces, territories, local governments, and community builders. We have agreements in place with many provinces. We have over 10,000 homes underway. What we can do now is pass the Build Canada Homes Act in this House. And I urge all members ahead in these busy 4 weeks ahead to support its swift passage so we can scale up Build Canada Homes and build more affordable housing.
The Honourable Member for Newmarket Aurora.
Mr. Speaker, the CRA paid out a $5 million return to a fraudster who typically earns $50,000 despite them identifying clear red flags. Even more concerning is that this happened 6 months after the finance minister appeared before committee to testify on the CRA's history of issuing millions of dollars of payments to fraudsters. He assured Canadians that the safeguards would be in place. Did the CRA once again issue a $5 million return on a clearly fraudulent claim under this Liberal government's watch? Yes or no?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary, Minister of Finance.
We know that any abuse of the tax system is completely illegal and unfair to Canadians, and we take those matters seriously. The CRA has implemented additional safeguards to help ensure greater consistency and accuracy in refund processing. We also strengthened controls, intensified oversight, and tightened authority levels. We will continue to strengthen the integrity of our tax system and protect taxpayer dollars. Certainly, this matters before the courts, and I can't comment further on it.
The Honourable Member for Newmarket Aurora.
Every dollar that these liberals hand out to fraudsters was first a dollar earned by and taken from a hardworking Canadian. And they don't want to answer questions on this matter. Shame on them, Mr. Speaker, because in the past 10 years, we have seen $37 million paid out in the Gold Line scandal, $40 million in bogus claims in 2023, and another $6 million in 2024. But if a Canadian misses $100, the CRA comes down hard on them, and it takes months to correct. How can anyone have any confidence in this Liberal government if this is how they treat Canadians?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Finance.
I've said numerous times, Mr. Speaker, any abuse of our tax system is illegal and unfair, and it's certainly something that the CRA takes very seriously, that our government takes seriously. Enforcement action is underway here. There is an attempt to address the issue, and the matters before the courts, which we can't comment on, of course, and additional safeguards have been put in place. I've already given the member details on that, and that's all I'll say for today.
Honourable member for York Durham.
It's just 2 weeks away from the tax deadline, Mr. Speaker, and you better cross your T's and dot your I's, because we all know the CRA gives no quarter to ordinary Canadians. But if you're a fraudster, there's a good chance you might walk away with a couple $1 million. In fact, it was reported this week the CRA once again paid out over millions of dollars to a fraudulent claim. Now, this isn't new. It's been happening for years. In fact, in the last Parliament, the minister responsible said, and I quote, "We have zero tolerance for fraud in all its forms." If that's really true, will the minister take responsibility and hold himself and the CRA accountable?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Finance.
I've already answered this question multiple times today, but I'll just add that when debt is established to the CRA, the agency takes legal action if necessary, using all available measures to ensure compliance. And to safeguard taxpayer information and prevent misuse, the CRA has strong controls in place to verify accounts and transactions. And the agency also collaborates with law enforcement and financial institutions, uses advanced data analytics, and deploys dedicated teams to detect and respond to suspicious activity. Thank you.
Honourable member for York Durham.
If anything that was said was true, this wouldn't be happening. But it's been happening for 6 years and continues to happen. But this tax season will be particularly tough for young Canadians, because 20% of them, 1 in 5, say they can't pay a tax bill and will have to go into debt to do it. Liberal policies are unfairly burdening young Canadians, the next generation, driving a wedge between parents and children, boomers and millennials, and more. One small measure that would help is our plan for a full tax cut on the gas, a full 25% for a full year. Why won't they do that?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I've already said multiple times, abuse of our tax system is illegal. The CRA takes enforcement action when it can identify suspicious activity. Safeguards have been put in place, and the matter that the member is referring to is before the courts, and I can't comment further, obviously.
Honourable member for Kamloops, Shuswap, Central Rockies.
Mr. Speaker, after more than a decade of Liberal policies, life is unaffordable. The latest MNP Consumer Debt Index report states that 70% of British Columbians say rising food prices and gas are straining their finances. The Liberals voted against reducing taxes and increased the cost of gas by 25 cents a litre. They voted against removing taxes on food that drive up the cost of groceries. Why won't these Liberals provide Canadians some relief by adopting our Conservative plan to cut taxes on gas and food and make life more affordable for Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thanks to the member opposite from BC. We are doing a lot of work right now in BC to lift up people, and particularly young people, with the break on new home purchases for first-time home buyers, GST break up to $50,000. Also a housing supply bonus that is going out to the provinces and territories to help reduce the cost of housing, which is the #1 driver really with affordability. When you look at the cost of housing, we've got more work to do with Build Canada Homes and many other initiatives on housing. We are delivering those in earnest.
The Honourable member for Kamloops, Shuswap, Central Rockies.
The Liberal plan is making life unaffordable. Of respondents to my recent survey to every household across Kamloops, Shuswap, Central Rockies, 94% say life has become less affordable over the past year. Rebecca replied, "I work full-time. at a good job, and I can barely afford groceries. I have no kids because I can't afford to. Why won't these Liberals provide some relief by adopting our Conservative plan to cut taxes on gas and food and make my life more affordable?
The Honourable Secretary of State for International Development.
Mr. Speaker, when I speak to British Columbians, including Rachel from my riding, she thanks me for the Canada Child Benefit because she also remembers when it was under the Conservatives, she had to have to pay taxes on it when it came time to April. She also thanks me for the Canada Child Benefit, but also the dental benefit that it's helping her children and her get dental care. They are also looking forward to our affordability measure that is coming out for her groceries that in June. In addition to that, the 10-cent tax relief at the gas pump is helpful. So I think we're listening to Canadians and they're getting what they need, and the Conservatives are not listening to Canadians and should.
The Honourable Member for Richmond, Senator Marco.
Mr. Speaker, the City of Richmond has written to the federal government repeatedly, most recently just 2 weeks ago, asking for a clear commitment to defend private property rights in the Convention Land claim. Homeowners are worried, investors are pulling out, people are asking, are their homes still secure? Yet the Liberals have offered no clear answer. Why is this Liberal government ignoring Richmond City Council and abandoning the people of Richmond?
The Honourable Minister for Crown Indigenous Relations.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We are working with the City of Richmond and will be providing a response to their letter. The Conservatives are trying to relitigate this very serious court case using partisan political attacks, which could seriously undermine the legal process and the work we're doing. They're taking the longest civil court case in Canadian history, over 500 days, and boiling it down to a social media clip. Mr. Speaker, while they're focused on party politics, we're focused on appealing this decision and advancing all legal arguments to protect private property where it matters, in front of
The Honourable Member for Nanaimo Ladysmith.
Secrecy, uncertainty, and anxiety, Mr. Speaker. Between the Cowichan Tribe's decision and the Musqueam Agreement, the Liberal and NDP have managed to throw private property rights into question for thousands of British Columbians. We need a game plan in this country on how we're going to get from where we are today to reconciliation in an affordable, reasonable manner. But the Cowichan decision is going to take years to wend its way up to the Supreme Court, while Canadians are left wondering whether their homes are truly theirs. So I ask the Prime Minister, what is the plan to restore confidence in fee simple home ownership, and when are we going to have genuine resolution and
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let's be clear about a few things. First of all, our government has been opposed to the BC Supreme Court decision, which is why we are appealing that decision. But let's also understand a few other things, Mr. Speaker. Not a single negotiation, not a single agreement with a First Nation since the 1970s has resulted in a single Canadian losing any of their private property. The Conservatives are fear-mongering, they are spreading misinformation, and they are causing disruption in the economy of British Columbia.
The Honourable Member for Nanaimo Ladysmith.
The member says he disagrees with the decision and is appealing. But appeals are not do-overs, Mr. Speaker, as the minister will have been told by her lawyers. The raise it or lose it principle is a core feature of how our legal system works. You can't raise a new argument on appeal if you didn't raise it at trial. My dad used to refer to this as the you snooze, you lose rule. In Cowichan Tribes, these Liberals instructed government lawyers not to argue that fee simple title supersedes all other kinds. So can the minister explain how they're going to win on appeal with an argument they aren't entitled to make?
The Honourable Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Preserving the certainty and stability of private property is of utmost importance, and that is why we will advance all legal arguments to protect them. We disagree with the BC Supreme Court's ruling, and that's why we appealed this back in September. This is being appealed by the federal government, the province, the City of Richmond, the Musqueam First Nation, the Tsawwassen First Nation, and the Cowichan First Nation. However, as a government, we always prefer to negotiate instead of going to court. And I can tell you, Mr. Speaker, in all of our negotiations dating back to the 1970s, no agreement between the federal government and
L'Honorable Député.
The Honourable Member for Honoré-Mercier. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With less than 2 months to go before the kickoff of the 2026 FIFA Men's World Cup, Canadians from coast to coast are feeling the excitement. Can the Parliamentary Secretary to the Secretary of State for Sport inform the House of how our government is helping communities across the country take part in this historic event? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Canadian Identity and Culture. I thank my honourable and very athletic colleague. Mr. Speaker, 2026 is Canada's Year of Sport, and we are bringing the excitement of the World Cup to life across the country. Through the Canada Celebrates Tour, communities from coast to coast to coast will take part in this celebration of national pride. Our government is also investing to support host cities and ensure a safe and welcoming World Cup. This summer, we'll be cheering on Team Canada and we'll be celebrating sports and inspiring young people to play sports. Go Canada, go!
The Lakes.
Yesterday, the Transport Minister said that anyone who speaks out against the land expropriation, environmental devastation, or sham consultation in their $90 billion Alto project should be ashamed. But I'll tell you what, I'm proud. I'm proud to stand with people like Dave Brown, his wife Carol, Brown's Marina, the people of Chaffee's Locks, Rideau Lakes, and Eastern Ontario who are fearful, rightfully fearful for their family homes, their farms, their businesses, and their way of life. The Liberals have an opportunity to do the right thing and to cancel a project that's going to devastate communities as well as families, just like Dave and Carol.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary of Transport and Internal Trade.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Make no mistake about it, this is a transformational project initiative for Quebec and Ontario, putting thousands of people to work using Canadian workers, Canadian companies, Canadian business. At the same time, in terms of this large-scale project, we take consultation very seriously. We've met with 10,000 stakeholders. We'll do more because it's the right thing to do, working with all Canadians to make this project happen.
The Honourable Member for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, Rideau Lakes.
The minister said, quote, "We're going to move that train as fast as we can," end quote. And he said the quiet part out loud. They are going to breeze right past the very real concerns of families and farmers and small businesses and people who just want to live the way that they thought they could in Eastern Ontario. But instead, we're seeing a project that's going to devastate the environment. Areas like the Frontenac Arch Biosphere and UNESCO-recognized World Heritage Sites. Why are these Liberals disregarding the rights of Canadians for a vanity project? Do the right thing and cancel the $90 billion.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Transport and Internal Trade.
Well, Mr. Speaker, make no mistake about it. When it comes to nation-building projects, the Conservatives practice fear and loathing, while we practice hope and action. And we do that by consultation with each and every stakeholder group in Ontario and Quebec. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. They're part of the solution. In urban Canada, we think big. In rural Quebec, in rural Ontario, we're also thinking big.
The Honourable Member for St. Albert, Sturgeon River.
Mr. Speaker, the Finance Minister's spokesperson said, quote, "The Minister fully respects the ethics screen, meaning he is neither implicated in nor party to any discussions, decisions, or votes related to Alto." Yet the Minister introduced, defended, and voted on legislation to direct billions of tax dollars to Alto on at least 14 occasions. Wow. So how do the Liberals reconcile the statement of the spokesperson for the Minister with the Minister's actions?
That's right. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Transport and Internal Trade.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, the Minister and others have spoken about this, but I will say this, and I'll use an Atlantic Canadian analogy. In terms of, this is a rather large fishing expedition. In Atlantic Canada, we would describe it as this: there's no fishing bait, there is no fishing line, and there's no fishing pole.
The Honourable Deputy de Hull-Aylmer.
The Honourable Member for Hull-Aylmer.
Men and boys across Canada are facing a health crisis. They feel their physical and mental health issues are overlooked, misunderstood, or ignored. Stress and injury are normalized. Vulnerability is stigmatized. Too many men and boys suffer in silence, and they are weary of asking for help. Can the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Health inform this House about what the government is doing to help men and boys across Canada live healthier lives.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Health.
Mr. Speaker, I thank my dear friend and honourable colleague for this very important question. Supporting the health of men and boys means stronger families, stronger community, and a stronger Canada. That's why the Minister of Health has launched consultation for Canada's first ever national conversation on men and boys' health. We want to hear directly from Canadians about the challenges men and boys face and the solutions that can improve lives. I encourage colleagues across the aisle to engage their communities and help shape a strategy that truly reflects Canadians' needs. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Bull River.
Mr. Speaker, this week I introduced Bill C-273, the Farm Act, to cut red tape, get farmers faster access to proven tools already deemed safe and approved by trusted jurisdictions. The bill reflects recommendations made by the Ag Committee on regulatory reform in response to industry concerns about costly delays and lack of access that leave our farmers at a disadvantage. It's a practical, no-cost solution that maintains oversight while delivering results. Will the Liberals support this common-sense legislation, listen to the recommendations from committee and industry, and get farmers factor access to the tools they need?
Here. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary, Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And it's very important. I mean, across Canada, we heard farmers, they wanted to reduce red tape, and I have good news for my colleague. We are doing that. The whole government effort is to reduce red tape, including in agri-food and in agriculture. And in committee, we just worked on a report that have several recommendations for our government and will be acted upon it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Rosemont, La Petite Patrie. Mr. Speaker, every year, Canada is required to report its greenhouse gas emissions to the United Nations. Usually, there's at least a press release, but this year the results are disgraceful, so we have radio silence. A disgrace, indeed, because the Liberals have only reduced GHG emissions by 10%, whereas the target is a 45% reduction by 2030. That's in 3.5 years. It's impossible to achieve it at this pace, and the Liberals want to ramp up pipeline and natural gas projects like Marinvest. It's a total contradiction. Are the Liberals finally admitting that they just don't give a damn?
Le député a utilisé un mot qu'on ne peut pas.
The member used a word that we cannot use in the House. I will ask the member to withdraw his unparliamentary remarks. I ask the member to withdraw the use of that unparliamentary language. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals do not give a damn about this at all. I ask the member to withdraw those remarks and unparliamentary language. The Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Natural Resources. Mr. Speaker, Canadians voted to strengthen our economy and develop our natural resources while fighting climate change. We support innovation. We are enhancing our competitiveness. We are developing billions of dollars in new investments so that we can achieve net zero. We will make Canada an energy superpower in clean energy and traditional energy or conventional energy, all while bringing down our emissions. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, 42 years ago today, the Canada Health Act was passed, making it the law across Canada that health care must be provided based on need, not the ability to pay. But this Liberal government keeps letting Conservatives break the law. Danielle Smith's latest plan for two-tiered health care is letting the ultra-rich book themselves expensive diagnostic tests and jump the line. Other premiers are watching. What will it take for this government to do their job, to enforce the Canada Health Act and to protect public health care for all Canadians?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our government will always protect the Canada Health Act and Canada's universal healthcare system. That is why, with Budget 2025, our government is investing in our publicly funded healthcare system, including a generational investment of $5 billion to build healthcare infrastructure. We're collaborating with our provincial and territorial partners to ensure all Canadians have equitable access to medically necessary care based on their needs, not on their ability to pay. Our government is continuing to engage with the province of Alberta to better understand the various components and implications of their proposed changes and ensure they align with the principles of the Canada Health Act. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
That brings an end to question period. Daily routine of business. Tabling of documents. Introduction of government bills. Statements by ministers. Rapport de délégation.
Reports from interparliamentary delegations.
Présentation.
Presenting reports from committees.
Dépôt de projet.
Introduction of private members' bills.
Première lecture de.
First reading of